Hi guys, welcome to GTA 5. I'm gonna do a video on the heist vehicles that I purchased, and I'm gonna be covering the following vehicles: the Valkyrie, the Insurgent with the gun, the regular Insurgent, the Karuma, and the Lectro. So I'm just gonna really talk about them and whether they're good or what I think of them, and you can make up your mind whether you want to actually buy them or not. But anyway, let's start. So the first one up here is the Valkyrie. I really like the look of the Valkyrie, and certainly, you know, the wide propellers on the top. It's just kind of a neat vehicle, and then of course the rotor at the back is pretty cool. Quite expensive vehicle. I think it goes for 2.8 million. You know, if you've got a bunch of friends and you guys want to fly around and shoot stuff up, it's really great. It's pretty cool. But you know, the only downside that I found, that I wish they had included is the ability for the pilot to actually shoot. So the pilot can't actually shoot any guns, which is unfortunate, because I think, you know, even if, you know, maybe what they should have done is, if there's no co-pilot, then given the ability for the pilot to shoot or something. But I guess it's got a cannon, and it's not like the Buzzard where you can shoot rockets or anything. So obvious reasons why. But I mean, nice helicopter. I do enjoy flying it around. Whether it's worth the 2.8, I don't know. I mean, I think it is a nice helicopter. I think 2.8 is a little steep in price. And I'm not going to really use it as much as, say, the Savage or the Buzzard, for instance, right? So it's really to fly around with a bunch of friends. I would probably leave it last on your list to buy, to be honest. You know, if you got all the extra cash and you really want it, then go ahead and buy it. It's a really nice helicopter. I've got no regrets actually buying it myself. You know, it's got a bunch of miniguns, and if you've got a bunch of friends, you can go really shoot up the town. So it's kind of neat from that perspective. But the price is pretty steep, and it is, you can't shoot with it as a pilot, so it's pretty much useless if you're kind of flying around and stuff. But you know, you do pick up passengers and they have fun, and if you're in a mission and you call it and then you go do stuff, it's kind of fun picking up people. So there you go, that's my comments on it. So we're just going to fly up here. I'm just going to show you a little bit more what it looks like up in the air. And then we're going to move on to the next vehicle that I purchased, which is Insurgent with the gun. Okay, so up next is Insurgent with the gun. As you probably know by now, it's not very bulletproof. I mean, you can't really use it like Karuma in terms of doing missions. You know, they can shoot you through the back window, things like that. The unfortunate part as well is that you can't actually switch between the driver's seat and the gunner seat, which is unfortunate. That would be kind of cool if you could have done that. But that being said, you can actually hit the right D-pad button and go inside, and you can actually access the gun by yourself. So if you're just by yourself, then you can actually just hold down Y, and then it will allow you in the back seat and you can shoot it. So the things that I use the Insurgent for really is during missions, what I do, and you can just pick any mission really, but you know, I'd pick a mission like blow up, for instance, or the editor and the thief, for instance, and I'll go park somewhere where I can actually just shoot up cops. And the longer you shoot up cops and the longer you last, the more RP you get. So if you just want to do RP farming, this is an awesome vehicle to do that, because you can kind of just sit there and shoot cops, and as long as you survive, you bring up your action menu and your snacks and your armor while you shoot him, because they'll just keep shooting you. It's not, I mean, you know, if they're sitting there shooting you, then you know, they will ultimately eventually kill you, but you can probably last quite a while just with some armor and snacks. So if you have your action menu up, then you can actually just keep on spamming your snacks so that you don't die, right? So definitely, I think, worthwhile buying this vehicle. It is a neat vehicle to kind of go around with. Sometimes you go around, you pick up some random, and then you go shoot up the town. It is a pretty cool vehicle. In terms of this vehicle and the Karen, I'd probably recommend this vehicle a little bit better because it has some armor. It's a little bit armor proof from that perspective. I think the Karen Technical has a better. This is it for this vehicle. I'm gonna just ride around in it a little bit, and we're gonna go ride around the I think it's a horse track. So you can continue watching, and then once we've done that, we are gonna look at the irregular Insurgent with without the gun that you can actually put in your garage, which is kind of cool. But that's gonna be up next. So either forward to the next one or continue watching. Thank you. Okay, up next is we're going to look at the Insurgents and talk a little bit about that. I'm actually going to go up to the airfield, because one of the things I really like doing with Insurgent is riding through things. So one of the things, as you know, is you can actually pretty much ride through an aeroplane or helicopter and not blow up or anything. The downside, of course, of this vehicle is the insurance, right? So if you put it in the water or you blow it up by accident, it will cost you about $17,000. So that's probably the main reason why I don't actually drive it around. It's also not bulletproof like the Karuma. So again, you know, you can get shot up. You can't really do missions like Base Invaders in this, because you just die ultimately if you try and do a mission in it, right? So, but I mean, I see a lot of people riding around. They love bashing into things. So, you know, pretty cool vehicle to do that. I absolutely like doing that myself. But anyway, so we're gonna just be at the airport in shortly, and then I'm gonna show you kind of what we're gonna do there, and then, you know, we're gonna just kind of ride around. So here we go. If you see helicopters or planes, you can just ride straight through them, and it's kind of fun, and it doesn't do any damage to you, right? So fairly nice vehicle to have. I don't really use it too much, just because of the insurance premiums and the fact that it's not very bulletproof, right? But there you go. We just basically didn't even scar the car at all. Just rode through it. You can actually see it caught on fire there, which was kind of funny. But I think ultimately it will go out there, right? But hopefully it doesn't blow up. It cost me $17,000. I don't know why it does cost $17,000, because the insurance, the cost of the car is only $625, and if you have a supercar, you know, insurance is only $9,000 or $10,000. So I have no idea why they decided to make this $17,000 for whatever reason. Regardless if it's armored, I mean, the cost of the car is only $625. So why are we paying almost twice or almost double the insurance premiums, right? So. But it's a nice car and it's fun to drive around with your friends or around the map and stuff. So fairly decent at climbing up hills and that. I mean, it's like a tank, right? I mean, it's heavy, so you might not go get up every mountain, but you know, you can smack pretty much anything out the way. It has a lot of weight behind it, right? So it definitely wouldn't be the first on my list. So if you're thinking about buying it, or you can't decide between another vehicle, you may want to wait until you can afford this one, because I don't actually use it at all now, right? It basically just sits in my garage and does nothing, right? Very, very rarely will I actually use it at all, right? I use more of the other vehicles instead. So there you go. That's Insurgent. It does fit in your garage. You can mod it. I believe it does come with bulletproof tires. So it makes it a pretty powerful vehicle. Other than it being, you can be shot through the windows and stuff like that. So not a good one for doing missions like Base Invaders or anything like that. So the next vehicle we're going to talk a little bit about is a Karuma, and then we'll look at the Savage, and then finally the Lectro. Okay, so the next vehicle is the Karuma. I'm not going to talk too much about this. I think everybody knows about the Karuma. I mean, it's definitely worth every cent. It makes missions much more fun as before. You can take it, you can drive up the steps. You know, definitely get it. If you don't have it, it's definitely a must first heist vehicle, right? So, you know, it's a very cool vehicle. People hate it because it's armored, or they think it's ruining missions or stuff like that. But you know what? It's a refresh. It's refreshing to have a vehicle that you can actually take on these NPCs that are overpowered, in my opinion. I don't think the Karuma is overpowered. I suppose it is, but I think the NPCs are just as overpowered. So there you go. Definitely get it, use it in missions, and you'll enjoy it doing stuff like dry docking or any mission, to be honest. It's just such a fun vehicle to have. So next vehicle we're going to talk about here is the Savage. So the Savage is very much like the Buzzard. So in my opinion, if you don't have the Buzzard, then get the Buzzard first. This is a much heavier helicopter to fly around. I mean, it's definitely a nicer helicopter. It's definitely better looking than the Buzzard, I think. I tend to use those mostly nowadays, so it'll be a tough choice for me to say get the Buzzard over the Savage, because I think they're both pretty cool helicopters. The Buzzard's more agile, can move around a little bit better. So if you're trying to do something like Chop Chop, the mission Chop Chop, then the Buzzard's probably the better helicopter to have. But this is definitely, I think, a nicer looking helicopter by a long shot. So, you know. The downside, of course, with the helicopter is there's only one gunner, and maybe that's an upside actually. So one of the upsides probably with this vehicle is if you do pick up somebody in the Buzzard, they can take over your guns and your controls. In this vehicle, they cannot. So that's definitely a plus with this vehicle, that you don't have to be irritated by somebody taking over your guns and not allowing you to shoot. Even though there's a second passenger seat, they pretty much can do nothing. So it's kind of a little disappointing that. My hope was that they would have two gunners, or the ability to the pilot and the second co-pilot to be able to shoot, but unfortunately they don't allow that, right? So the other thing you want to do, or can do, is you can bring in the wheels. So that's just you pushing your left thumbstick down and brings in the wheels quite nicely. Just remember when you land to take them out so you don't destroy the helicopter. I mean, you can actually land without the wheels, and it won't actually destroy it. If you do that with the Hydra, you will destroy the Hydra, but it just makes sense to take out the wheels. I mean, it is a heavy helicopter, so just be careful when you're near the ground. I see a lot of people blowing it up. They come in like they're driving a Buzzard, and then they lose control of it because it gets really heavy when you're close to the ground, or it's not as maneuverable, and it's a much bigger helicopter, right? So you think you can fit into tight spots, and you pretty much find out that you can't, or it takes a little while to lift off the ground, so you fly down, think you can do a quick go up, but end up crashing. So definitely recommend it. I mean, I like it. I certainly like it as a helicopter. So whether you choose that or the Buzzard, or if you have the Buzzard, then it's a no-brainer, just get this one anyway, right? So it's about $2 million and worth it, right? So in my opinion. Okay, so as you can see, we're back at the Karuma, and we're gonna go and get Lectro. Again, not much more to say about the Karuma other than the fact it's worthwhile getting, in my opinion. Do those missions that you haven't done before. Do base invaders, do dry docking, try out different missions, drive up the stairs. I mean, this is a very relatively small car that you can go anywhere with. Even in stocks and scares, I made it pretty much all the way up the stairs until the last corner, which I couldn't actually get it around the corner, but it blocked all the NPCs from coming up. So if you wanted to do stocks and scares by yourself and you couldn't before, this is the way to go. You can actually get it up most of the stairs. You go up the first set of stairs, and then it's a little tricky to get up the second set, and then the third one's still tricky, but I managed to get around the corner on the third one, and then the last one right at the top, I was just unable to get around it. But it would make a good escape vehicle as well. So if you do get it up to kind of that third set of stairs, you can actually escape in it if you wanted, and you didn't have a Buzzard or anything, or didn't want to call one. So you could probably just reverse down. Probably be a little tricky. I didn't actually try reverse down, but I'm assuming you could probably make it around there if you needed to. Okay, finally we're going to talk a little bit about the Lectro. There's obviously a lot of debate whether it's worth the money. It is a really expensive bike, $750,000, but it is a very cool bike. You know, it's got that supercharger that you can charge up mountains and around and stuff. So if you're a bike fan, without a doubt, get it. I mean, it's worthwhile. I mean, you can turbo boost down roads, up mountains, and stuff, right? So it's just a no-brainer. If you're comparing it to the body, I mean, don't slam the bike just because the body's cheaper and supposedly faster. Who cares? I mean, the body is a cheap bike, right? I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the body, but you know, I hear a lot of people slamming the Lectro because, you know, oh, the body's faster and you know, cheaper, and it is. I mean, I can't blame people for saying that because, you know, 750 grand. I mean, it's got to be something special. So I don't know if it's worth the 750, but it is a bike with a turbocharger, and it's kind of a neat bike. You can also buy it if you're struggling with the Pacific Heist. I mean, get it, and then you can do practice runs. So what I did is a few dry runs without the mission. I would figure out a route on how to go through the meadows, and I'd practice it. And having the bike handy in your disposal allows you to do a proper dry run. And maybe if your tried crew or friends are struggling to do it, then if you all have, I mean, you don't have to do it with Electro, but obviously it makes it more real if you do it with Electro, right? I do have a video on the best way to do the Pacific Heist and go through the meadows and stuff. But what I did before that was I did about 10 tries by myself through the meadows, and I found the best route that worked for me, right? So, you know, it is a cool bike. If you like bikes, go buy it. If you don't want to spend the $750,000, then don't get it, right? I think it's worth it. I got no regrets. I don't actually use it much, just like I don't use the Insurgent, but I've got no regrets in buying it. I think it's such a cool bike to have, and you know, to play around with and mess around with and have fun, right? So, you know, it's a unique compared to the other bikes, right? But it is pretty pricey, right? So there you go. There's pretty much all the heist vehicles that I've got. The only one that I think I didn't buy was the Karuma and Lectro. I just didn't think it was worth $1 million, but you know, that's probably the one I haven't got. And of course, the one I probably haven't mentioned is the Guardian that shows up in the car store, the online store straight away. Do not get that. I mean, $400,000 for basically a Sand King is not worth it. So I actually ended up buying it. I totally regretted it, and I just hated it so much that I sold it, and I took a $200,000 hit on that. I just hated it so much, right? So don't get it. It's just basically a Sand King. In fact, the Sand King's better than it. It's just such a useless truck. But yeah, those are pretty much the only two heist vehicles I didn't buy. And then the rest of these ones I had no regrets buying. The ones I use the most are probably the Savage. The Karuma is definitely the one I use the most. And of course the Hydra. Those are the three top vehicles in my mind. And then the other fun vehicles, of course, are the Valkyrie, the Insurgents. You know, I would get the Insurgent with the gun first because A, you can have fun with it, and B, you can farm RP with it. So definitely worth it. And even if you had the Karuma and Lectro instead of the Insurgent with the gun, you could do farm RP, right? I think you're a little bit more exposed though if the cops show up. So I don't know how much longer you could last. Whereas with the Insurgent, you'd probably last quite a bit longer, I think. So, I'm just trying to see if I could get the bike in the back of this helicopter, but it doesn't look like I can. They've kind of blocked it, unfortunately, right? But I did try and see if I could open the back, and I did get it open, but of course, when you try and ride the bike in there, then you can't actually drive it in. I tried a few different ways to do that, right? But it is what it is. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button, and please consider subscribing to the channel. Enjoy.
that? Lee Scratch Perry. Clear the way, fanatics. Repent and watch and pray. Fanatic, clear the way, sensitive. Repent and watch and pray.